special day, and Idaho is a very special state, so we're expecting lots of things to happen. I guess a lot of people will need to get out and vote and prove that we're on our way, and that's up to you to do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But it is a very important time in our history right now to try to reverse things in Washington. And things have been going the wrong directions for a few years, let me tell you. And the problems are pretty big. If you look at our economy, that is listed as the #1 problem throughout the country. And most people recognize this, but most people don't recognize what caused the difficult problem. So whether you look to the Democrats or the Independents or the Republicans and ask them why we have bubbles and why we have recessions, do they ever tell you that it has a lot to do with the Federal Reserve System? Many problems have come about for various reasons, but basically I think it can be summarized that we've had too many people in Washington who either didn't understand or didn't read and didn't follow the Constitution. That's why we've gotten this. Whether it's the economic policies related to monetary policy in the Federal Reserve, whether it has to do with the protection of our liberties and our Fourth Amendment right to privacy, whether it has to do with the Constitution saying how we should go to war. These things have been ignored for a long, long time, and we have shifted from a wealthy nation, an accredited nation, to a deficit nation, and one now the people's standard of living is actually going down for the first time in our history. And it's been going down now for over 10 years. And this is why the people aren't feeling so good about it. And yet the government gives us these statistics, and they say, oh, the unemployment is not so bad. It's 8% improving, no inflation, 2% or so. And the American people know that's just not so. Inflation, the prices going up are much faster than that. And when you look at the free market economists, they report that the unemployment rate is closer to 22%, a very, very serious problem. And so in order to correct something, we have to admit the truth. And I think that's been our problem. We've been in denial. We figure, oh, well, we have a slump. If we spend some more money, if we borrow some more money, if we print some more money, we'll get out of that slump. And that works for a while if you have a lot of money in the bank and you have a wealthy nation. But today we don't have money in the bank. We're the debtor nation. We're the biggest debtor nation in the history of the world. We owe trillions of dollars overseas. Our national debt itself is $16 trillion. And our national debt is going up between $1 and $1.5 trillion every single year. How can you get out of a debt crisis by spending about $1.5 trillion every year that we don't have? It makes no sense. And I think the American people understand that. I'm convinced the American people are way ahead of the politicians in Washington. We need to send a loud and clear message to the people in Washington. So one loud message I would like to send is to propose that in the very first year of the new administration that we cut $1 trillion out of the budget. Others will say, other candidates will say, and even the current administration will say, we're cutting, we're cutting. But they're not cutting. What they're doing is always nibbling away at proposed increases. The budget is based on baseline budgeting, which has automatic increases. No matter what, it's automatic increases. Over the next 10 years, the automatic increases will be to the tune of over $10 trillion. So if they come up with a proposal like they did after the Congress failed and the super committee failed, the automatic cuts that were put into place were to cut like $1.2 trillion over a 10-year period of a $10 trillion proposed increase, which is no cuts at all. And they expect everybody to believe this. Now, if you compare that to reality, that would mean you cut about $100 billion a year out of proposed increases, which adds up to nothing. But our national debt is going up $100 billion a month. So we're not going to get anywhere. That's why we have to be very serious about this. And I have the proposals. I have 5 departments I would cut. I'd go back to 06 budget line, not having this automatic increases, but going back to the baseline of 06. And the budget can be balanced within 3 years. And that is what they're going to do. difficulty and the real challenge is that people don't want to cut any funding. And we have to have a different type of government. We have to actually follow the Constitution because and that's a radical idea these days. But this idea of the entitlement system, anybody who needs something or wants something or demands something, that they have a right to it. That is not so. You don't have a right to other people's income. You should have a right to keep your own. Misused. The entitlement system was set up, and they got people to endorse it because they would show individuals who are truly in need. There's always been people truly in need. What they refuse to admit is that the freest society becomes the wealthiest society. It provides the largest middle class, and it produces the most fair way of distribution of income. But there's always a few. But if you reject the whole notion of the free market to say that you have to adjust to saying, well, we have to take care of a few here, it's better the government does it than expect voluntary groups of family and these other events. But the whole thing is it never works. What they do is they create more poverty. They create more equality, but it's the equality of poverty is what we end up with.